TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel discussed a deepening of relations with the African Republic of Chad as Premier Netanyahu hosts Chad's cabinet chairman AbdelKerim Deby in Jerusalem. Russia is set to expand its offshore gas drillings in the eastern Mediterranean following a bilateral agreement with Syria. The leaders of Iran and Turkey hold a virtual council meeting during which they pledge to deepen bilateral cooperation vis-à-vis regional problems. Israel and the United Arab Emirates are set to ratify the recently announced normalization accord in a signing ceremony at the White House next Tuesday, September the 15th. Israeli Prime Minister Premier Netanyahu and Emirati Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, are scheduled to travel to the American capital, where U.S. President Donald Trump will oversee the signing of the agreement, marking an official start of normalized relations between Jerusalem and Abu Dhabi. Both the Emirati Foreign Ministry and the Israeli Prime Minister's office confirmed the anticipated event, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu writing, quote, "I'm proud to leave next week to Washington at President Trump's invitation to participate in an historic ceremony for the establishment of peace between Israel and the United Arab Emirates." Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Premier Netanyahu hosted Chad's cabinet chairman AbdelKerim Deby and head of Chad's intelligence service Ahmed Kogri, during which discussions focused on the opening of respective diplomatic representation in both countries, among other topics of mutual interest.
Very good to see you.
Likewise.
And please, the most important thing is give my warmest regards to Father.
I will do so.
And to the people of Chad. I mentioned our relations in the discussions about beginning the peace with the Emirates. And I mentioned it, and I want to do more than mention it. I want to be able to advance it even further.
According to the Prime Minister's office, the possibility for Chad to open an embassy in Jerusalem was also discussed. Furthermore, the meeting entailed a wide variety of topics of mutual interest, including the war on terror, cyber, water, and agriculture. Turning now to Israel's northern neighbor Lebanon, where Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte concluded an official trip to Beirut. During his visit, which included a series of meetings with Lebanese officials, and separately, a review of the more than 1,070 Italian troops that are stationed in the country as part of the UNIFIL task force, Premier Conte added Rome's voice to Paris, Washington, and other international capitals, which demand for crucial reform to be implemented immediately within Lebanon's governing institutions that are plagued by deep-rooted corruption.
Ovviamente, perché il nostro sostegno possa essere efficace, occorre che ci sia un grande senso di responsabilità da parte delle autorità in particolare e una grande coesione nazionale verso una direzione condivisa, un percorso riformatore. L'emergenza, l'ho detto appena adesso parlando anche alle forze armate, l'emergenza qui è a tutto tondo, un'emergenza che si trascina da tempo già finanziario, un'emergenza sociale, un'emergenza che poi è esplosa con la pandemia sanitaria. Adesso c'è un'emergenza anche dovuta all'esplosione, alla tragedia del 4 agosto, all'esplosione del porto. C'è una grandissima sofferenza da tutti i punti di vista. Se ne può uscire solo con un patto politico forte, un patto tra le migliori forze della società, le migliori forze politiche, sociali, culturali ed economiche.
In related news, the U.S. State Department released a statement last night in which it announced that for too long, Lebanon's political leaders have ignored their responsibility to address the needs of their people and instead built a political system that serves their private interests. In its statement, Washington further accused Lebanon's dysfunctional political system, as it put it, of enabling a terrorist group, namely the Iranian proxy Hezbollah, to hold the country's governance hostage to its own agenda. However, in support of the Lebanese people's call for reform, the United States pledged to use all available authorities to promote accountability for Lebanese leaders who have failed their people. Consequently, the U.S. State Department announced that it is designating two former Lebanese ministers, Yusuf Finyanous and Ali Hassan Khalil, to its list of sanctioned individuals pursuant to Executive Order 13224, which provides a legal foundation to block property and prohibit transactions with persons who commit, threaten to commit, or support terrorism. The U.S. State Department explained its decision by unveiling that while holding positions in previous Lebanese cabinets, Finyanous and Khalil directed political and economic favors to Hezbollah, including ensuring Hezbollah-owned companies won government contracts worth millions of dollars and moving money from government ministries to Hezbollah-associated institutions. Turning now to Syria, where a senior Russian delegation headed by Moscow's Deputy Prime Minister Yuri Borisov and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov concluded an official visit to Damascus. The trip culminated with a series of bilateral agreements in the sectors of finance, infrastructure, energy, and offshore gas exploration.
Тем не менее, новое соглашение, которое сегодня мы прорабатываем, имеет целью восстановления около 40 объектов, в том числе и энергетической инфраструктуры. В частности, это каскад гидроэлектростанций, которые в свое время были построены еще советскими специалистами, и возобновление добычи шельфовых месторождений. Соглашение с одним из эконом-операторов уже подписано и ждет ратификации.
The Russian Deputy Prime Minister further condemned the United States and other Western countries for sanctioning Syria over atrocities committed during the years-long civil war.
Экономическая изоляция Сирии и принятие акта Цезаря подтверждение тому. Сегодня практически эти действия не позволяют инвестициям быть привлеченным в сирийскую экономику, и, по сути дела, это блокада, это деструктивная позиция, в первую очередь, Соединенных Штатов и стран Запада, которую мы пытаемся сегодня совместными усилиями прорвать.
Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim welcomed Russia's growing economic investments in the war-torn country, which seemingly aim to expand Moscow's interests in the Assad regime. Nevertheless, the Damascus top diplomat insisted that the latest agreement, which deepens Syria's reliance on Russia as well, is not politically motivated.
أولاً لا ربط بين الاقتصاد والعلاقات السياسية. علاقاتنا الاقتصادية تنمو وتتطور فيما يحقق مصلحة الشعبين السوري والروسي. وأنا قلت في مداخلتي الأولى أنني متفائل وأبشر شعبنا بأن الوضع الاقتصادي العام سوف يجد تحسناً خلال الأيام والأشهر القادمة.
Turning to the Turkish capital Ankara, where a virtual council meeting between the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his Iranian counterpart Hassan Rouhani was held, in which, per Turkey's communications directorate, all aspects of bilateral relations between Turkey and Iran were reviewed, and steps aimed at further enhancing the cooperation in light of the new circumstances caused by the coronavirus pandemic were discussed. The statement added that both sides exchanged views on bilateral relations, as well as regional and international matters at the meeting.
Türkiye ve İran diyaloğu birçok bölgesel sorunun çözümünde belirleyici role sahiptir. Salgın şartlarının hafiflemesiyle beraber işbirliğimizin tekrar eski seviyelerine geleceğine inanıyorum.
Meanwhile, in Tehran, regime spokesman Ali Rabi insisted that the American efforts to snap back sanctions against the Islamic Republic after Washington officially informed the United Nations Security Council of its decision to do so under Resolution 2231 would not have an effect on Iran itself, but rather it would further isolate the United States.
ما فکر می‌کنیم در 20 سپتامبر هیچ اتفاقی نخواهد افتاد جز تداوم زورگویی‌های نامشروع و شکست خورده و البته انزوای بیشتر خود آمریکا.
Tehran's wishful thinking apparently pertains to vocal opposition by members of the Security Council to the American move.
ما هیچ علامتی در دنیا نسبت به همسویی با آمریکا ملاحظه نمی‌کنیم. اعضای شورای امنیت با صدای بلند به آمریکا گفتند هیچ حقی در بازگرداندن تحریم‌های پیشین نداره.
It is important to explain that the United States initiated the restoration of virtually all UN sanctions on Iran lifted under UN Security Council Resolution 2231 when it formally notified the world body of its decision on the 21st of August, which initiated a 30 days countdown to the imposition of global sanctions. While members of the Security Council may voice their refusal by attempting to block the American decision, any such attempt would be contested by the United States, which reserves veto rights as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to lift up Chad in prayer for its salvation and peace, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, as well as for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion and its economic ramifications worldwide. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov u'Mevorach, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.